What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a quick lore update as we have patch 12.0 rolling out. Hopefully you guys had some time to recover after the insanity that we saw on the most recent lore cinematic with Alpha and Omega Earth. If you still aren't caught up and not sure what's been happening, check out my recent video where I cover all the events that took place in the cinematic. With patch 12.0, we have no new voicemails coming in, which was surprising but also not at the same time, since these voicemails are mostly sent to Brimstone and he never picks up his phone anyways, hence why they're always uploaded as voicemails. But now that Brimstone has been killed, supposedly, there is no need to even bother calling him. We do, however, have 2 emails and 1 new corrode dossier, which is connected to one of the emails, which I will explain in a second. The first email that we have is from Vyse responding to the attack that happened in Mexico. It's a response email titled Initiate Emergency Protocol, and it reads the following. Body secured. Ability to revive is uncertain. Base. Full battle stations. Lock it down. Does anyone know what the hell this was? No chance it's random. Something's happened. Cypher. Fade. Find out what. Speed is more critical than security right now. Just get us answers. Okay, so straight off the bat, in the first 2 sentences, we have confirmation that the Valorant Protocol suffered multiple casualties from this attack from Omega's Valorant Legion. We know Alpha Sova was hit straight in the eye from a dart from Omega Sova, but he was still conscious and moving last time we saw him after Omega Sova removed the dart. Of course, given the placement of the dart, it is very possible that Sova could have died, and given that we do have multiple casualties, I wouldn't rule this out. The second casualty we could possibly have is Killjoy. We can see that she was injured in the attack as she is limping and Ryze is helping her move, but not before being taken away by Omega Viper. And this part is important because we don't actually know where Ryze went. It's possible she was kidnapped by Omega Earth and being held hostage there, while other theories suggest that this Ryze on Alpha Earth was actually Omega Ryze this entire time after she mysteriously disappeared and reappeared on the map Breeze a long time ago, and has been serving as a spy ever since. This is just a theory and not canon, but it is a pretty interesting one to keep an eye out for. I'm not too sure if Killjoy was killed in this ambush, since she was just limping last time we saw her, and if she did die, well, that sucks because that is the second time she died in the last few months. We know Reyna was shot by Omega Sova's shock dart, which did hit her pretty bad, and she slammed her head into the ground really hard too, so I do think that Reyna has been killed in this fight, especially given the feud between Viper and Reyna on both worlds. I think Omega Viper might have even finished her off as they left if she was still alive. Lastly, we have Alpha's Brimstone, who is the most obvious casualty, as we literally saw Omega Viper suffocate him with her poison until he couldn't breathe anymore and he went limp. And as I mentioned, even if several of these agents survived, it's possible that the Omega agents just finished them off on their way out, so we may have a situation where every single one of these agents have been killed, or just a couple of them which were severely injured, with the exception of Ryze, whose status is currently unknown. Back to the email, after confirming that the bodies were secured, Vyse states that the ability to revive is uncertain. We know that in Valorant's lore, when an agent dies, they aren't dead in the sense that we know it where they're gone forever. Because Sage exists in the universe, they have the capacity to bring a dead person back to life. So when agents die in the Valorant universe, as stated by one of Valorant's developers, David Nottingham, think of them more as incapacitated rather than actually killed. Now, why exactly is it that the ability to revive is uncertain? We know that Omega Earth Sage is stuck inside this chamber after her body seems to have transformed with these crystal-like marks. She's no longer able to function normally, and it looks like Valorant Legion are using her body and powers in a different way to serve as a healer, but obviously it's not nearly as powerful or effective as we can see several dead bodies next to Omega Chamber here, with Omega Chamber himself in a pretty bad shape. But this is Omega Sage. What about Alpha Sage? For this, we have to go back to the Why We Fight cinematic a couple months ago when Alpha's Killjoy was killed in the same battle that Omega's chamber got injured in. Alpha Killjoy did end up losing her life or got extremely close to it as the team rushed to get her back to HQ. Once they arrived, Alpha Sage channeled her powers and brought Killjoy back to life. But it wasn't all that easy. We got to see Sage go through tremendous stress and pressure trying to revive Killjoy, and once she was done, she was covered in these crystals all over her neck, similar to Omega Sage, except Alpha Sage was still okay to function. This was the moment here in the cinematic where we can see Alpha Sage kind of gaining and losing her powers as she tries her best to heal and bring back Killjoy. And although she does succeed, Reyna seems to be the only one to notice how Sage is down in pain, and we get a shot of what looks like to be crystals that have appeared on her neck. So that tells us that while Alpha Sage is alive and conscious, her ability to revive is very limited and possibly even gone, unless she is able to revive one or multiple agents at the cost of her own life, similar to Omega Sage. We'll have to wait and see how the Valorant protocol goes about this issue. Vyse then tells the protocol to enter lockdown mode and ordered Cypher and Fate to figure out what happened because they have no idea what's going on. And with the main leader of the Valorant protocol, Brimstone, currently incapacitated, it looks like Vyse has taken the stand to lead the protocol. This was something she was already doing in some ways since joining, even having voice lines directed towards Brimstone saying that she should take charge. While the protocol do have other leaders such as Sage, Viper, and Omen, it looks like Vyse will be taking charge for the time being. Okay, that's all for the first email. I hope that did make sense. Before I get to the second email, let's quickly go over the new dossier on Corrode as it will make sense that way. The new dossier on Corrode is sent from Lieutenant Delacroix to Ambassador Callus, who is Omega Viper, and it reads the following. Ambassador Callus, the provided data key failed validation on my end. Until I isolate the cause, I suggest we continue through this thread for expediency. An urgent matter is developing that concerns you directly, as well as certain Atlas assets I no longer trust. Given its sensitivity, I strongly advise that you see it first. Please confirm receipt as soon as possible, so I can send the supporting files. The lieutenant mentions that there is an urgent matter that is developing and it concerns Omega Viper directly. While we don't know what this concern is exactly, we can guess that it will involve Alpha Earth in some way. The lieutenant notes that several Atlas assets can no longer be trusted, and they want to send Omega Viper supporting files directly on this thread once she confirms receipt. So whatever the lieutenant wants to send should be seen by Omega Viper's eyes only. It looks like there are some new developments happening on Atlas's end, as they have seemingly agreed to letting Omega Viper be their leader. And now we go back to the second email that can be found on the range. Interesting. It looks like Alpha Cypher was able to breach into Atlas's comms on Omega Earth. The email is an exact copy of what was uploaded on Corrode and sent by Lieutenant Delacroix to Omega's Viper. This is great news for Alpha Earth because that means that they can keep tabs on Atlas as they communicate with Omega Viper and get important information from them. Also, if you look closely, it looks like Cypher was able to create a second Delacroix, internally named Dupe Delacroix. This is pretty interesting because it means that Cypher may be able to communicate directly with Omega Viper and other Atlas personnel while posing as the real Lieutenant Delacroix. We haven't yet seen him do this, but I would definitely say that this may be something that we should expect in the near future. And with that, we have covered all the lore updates in patch 12.0. I hope you guys were able to follow along. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on future lore videos as I release them. And drop a like if you enjoyed this video and leave your comments down in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.